Isekais are not that bad. I'm here to simply talk about why I sometimes read isekais, why I enjoy them, and why there seems to be an unlimited amount of them in the past few years. Hopefully, this will be a short one. One note before we begin, please support the authors of the stories mentioned. All of their work will be cited below in the description. I don't keep a manga list, though I do really want to. Despite my attempts at doing so, I failed due to the massive amount of trash that I have to go through every week. At a certain point, keeping them all in check became such a bother. I do want to rate them, but the amount of times that I dropped a story, or a story was forced to self-destruct midway through, about hitting chapter ends usually, it has become too much of a bother to keep up with it all. Sifting through trash like a raccoon. That's what I would describe the feeling of rummaging through new batches of manga and manhwas like. You grab one, you sniff it. If it's rotten or has gone bad, you throw them back, or if it's somewhat passable, you put them in your own bag. Maybe after a while, your tastes were morphed, and those stories that seems rotten at first could turn into a delicacy, in the same sense of it's so bad it's good. But I don't think that it's that simple. I usually pull up my mangas when I want to procrastinate to get away from my coursework, looking at how the MC breezed through the initial challenges and how he or she or they or etc. creating that dream life afterwards slows me down. But sometimes it erases me. That is the start. That is where I will start reading or watching isekai as an escape. In times of rush, where everything around me seems to flow in and out of me as if I have a big hole in my stomach, and existence flow through me with great pressure. I needed an escape, a break. It is easy to see, with an increase in pressure on one's life, one feels as if their life are being sped up, all the while they are not doing anything. The sensation of accelerating or being in place. Acceleration, but there's no real movement. It is hard to rest when you are stuck in a routine that does not resonate with you. It is hard to be content when you're doing things that you believe to be pointless. It is hard not to be sad when you're feeling that you and your life are pointless. Like shoveling snow in a blizzard. Like mopping the floor when there's a flood. It is something that you have to do, even though you don't want to. An image of a candle slowly burning away always comes to mind, giving light. But there's nothing near. The start of an isekai often starts with the main character expressing their discontent with their current life, often depicted and embodied by the infamous Japanese salaryman and salarywoman. Then the MC dies in a comical way, famously the truck, and my personal favorite, falling into the hole. They feel this desire to escape, or the dread of their current situation, when they suddenly dies. The point is, their previous life is worthless and meaningless, and they are now given the chance to relive that life that they truly want to. This concept in itself is of course present in many forms and is utilized in many ways. For example, when it is revealed that in the episodes leading to the end of the anime, in episode 11 of Kino's journey, the 2017 version, the backstory of the girl, who was later known as Kino, is revealed that she escaped from her home territory, the land of the adults. A society there functions on a mentality that hinges on a single axis. She was about to go through an operation that will make her into an adult, an operation that will rid the child inside. Conflicted on the possibility that she could become something other than an adult who would take over their parents' occupation. She conferred with her parents about not wanting to go through with her operations on the day. The operation being highly regarded in the society as something sacred and immensely intimate to their being. She was deemed to be raised wrong by her family and deemed to be a failure to society. The father of the girl blamed Kino, the male traveler, for corrupting her with unsavory ideas. This sequence showcases the path of a massive change, a death of her previous self, the creation of a new one. It began from the point where she met the traveler Kino. Within their first meetings, Kino engraved something into her that caused a crack in the simplistic prevailing ideology of conforming to a set of steps that determines one's life within the territory, a code, a way out, a line of flight. The process has already begun. With a single doubt, the stories from the visitor. He liberated her and at the same time killed her. For the girl before his story is no longer the same girl who travels in the story. With a knife about to be plunged into the girl's chest, the traveler ran into the knife, protecting the girl at the cost of his life. The girl, seeing that another option is possible for her, she hopped on to the curiously talking bike and escaped the territory. Kino, taking the name of her benefactor and leaving her own name behind, is not an act of mere mimicking her savior, as if she wanted to become the hero that saved her or something, or as an impressionable young girl, but as an act of assertion that she will make the choices of what she wants to do for herself. The declaration, "I am Kino and you are Hermes," is not simply her adopting a new identity right away, but a mark of a new beginning, the start of a journey. But what does this have to do with Isekais? The point is that in many forgettable Isekais employ similar story points to, in this case, Kino's revelation, and use it as a tool during the exposition to allow for the infamous brain smoothing format to exist. It took one of the most powerful tools in storytelling, nurtured and tuned it to be a tool for an escape. Isekais embodied the feeling of the desire for a successful escape, while Kino highlights a meaningful character growth and transformation. The death, the apex, of a meaningful change of a character is now used in a cookie-cutter way, embodied in the quote-unquote real death of the main character in the first few pages of the story, to allow for the story to showcase a new start, a new life of the main character to the viewers, in hopes that in the intense overpowered fight, or the carefree living later on in the story, perhaps an ideal life for many, will pull in readers or watchers. But there is no real death within those first few chapters. There is no real substantial change within the character. All that has changed was the character's immediate surroundings, tailored by a powerful entity, normally in the form of a god, to allow for a smooth sailing, mostly conflict-free new life in a new world. In its simplest and most common form, it's just a variation on the intensity between themes of a fantasy power creep anime and fantasy slice of life that gives Isekais a knowing what I am about to get into vibe. It is this popular format that makes the genre so dull, but this does not mean that good writing could not come in the form of an isekai anime at all. There are many great shows within the genre that do not follow or do follow the format and shines through, like ReZero, Konosuba, Lock Horizon, and etc. On the other hand, there are shows that exist solely because they are derivatives. Isekai Death March, Isekai Sheet Magician, and at least two Isekai Pharmacies, Isekai Blacksmith, and Isekai Magic Appliances Creator, and Isekai Cooking and Camping, Isekai with a Smartphone, Isekai Vending Machine, and it goes on and on. The shows where there are less struggle than the carefree living aspects, most of them, their slice of life elements are really what shines within the story. Effectively, there's just slice of life shows for people who want to keep up appearances with themselves and not say out loud that they enjoy comfy stuff. It's the what if we replace cute girls doing cute things with boys dominating boy things? Wait, that sounded wrong. One of the joys that I get from reading isekais, though how so sucking it sounds, is to look out for when the authors develop the story differently, now that there's a gimmick added. Though however weird or generic it may be, a slight change would become a restriction that they have to develop and play around. One example, Kajiya de Hachimaru Isekai's Low Life. Obviously, from a glance at its name, it is clear that this story is not going to be an intense one, nor the main character would ever live a fast life. The story starts off very generically, with the hero and the demon queen battling out with each other, with their newest and strongest drift, but their power being exactly the same. The only thing that will be able to give them an edge, funny word, over each other is their weapons. And then blah blah blah, in the end, it turns out that their weapons are made from the same exact dude who likes to brand his swords with cats. Getting into the story now, really. The middle-aged Sari man dies while walking back home tired from work. And then, while trying to save a cat, he got hit by a truck. That's new, right? He died trying to save a cat. But there's an entity possessing that cat. He died when in fact he was not supposed to die yet. But that entity is the recorder, and it has to record and report everything that it sees. And from the point that it sees the man death, it cannot be reverted. Meanwhile, on the other world, conveniently, there's a similar thing going on, or that had happened. So a quick solution is that both of the guys who died similarly trying to help a cat would just exchange places. Being asked what his ideal life is and what he wanted the most, the Sari man asked to become a shared blacksmith with all the skills pre-downloaded to him. And then he gets yeeted to the new world, to another world. Finally, finished with the bulk of the exposition that has to be set up first, he started to live in an old abandoned house, and then saved a beast woman waifu, and then started to live with her. That's the basic premise of the story, and then day-to-day stuff happened. I'm gonna gloss over it. The point is, the story adds details of their everyday life, and the main character's interaction with his customers and his family as he learned how to wield his newfound skills and how to navigate his new lifestyle. It is this aspect of the slow life, how the character adapts to their day-to-day life. It's the direct departure that marks its first difference when compared to something like SAO. A big chunk of Isekai has taken this route of adapting and leaning heavily towards being a slice-of-life show. Adapting its confidence to be combined with the otherworldly appeal strikes a chord in many overworked, burnt-out people, dreaming of a world that is far away from them, a world with little resemblance to the living hell that they are going through, dreaming into a game-like fantasy world with power systems similar to those that we see in games, fully fitted with status windows and unlimited inventory. Looking from the Isekai titles, it is easy to gauge what kind of story it would be. This exact predictability is the main cause of the detriment of many seasoned anime watchers, who craved for something new, for those who are not lulled by its familiarity, for those who do not want to escape to somewhere far away. There's no doubt that there has been an abundance of brain-smoothing isekais, and for those who are tired of the same genre and the same format packaged in a slightly different way over and over again, fret not, because there are some other types of isekai to be enjoyed. Sword Art Online is the epitome of a bland isekai. It is a limit test to gauge whether an isekai is worth it or not. Or is it just another show that should be thrown in the derivative bin? SAO being the poster child for this isekai problem, because this is my video and I commanded it to be so. It at least serves us as a great point from which we could compare other series to see where things could have changed. While we all love to clown on Sword Art Online, at least in the very first part of Sword Art Online, the tension and the threats of being stuck inside the game and dying still exist, until the main character Kirito decided to show off his gamer skills. Before the Silica arc, I am not even sure if I could call it an arc, within the very beginning, there still seems to be room for more expositions, for more story building. But instead, what we got was a haphazard gamer level logic which makes the shared Kirito unkillable to the Beta's Titan's hand. This simplistic resolution of the already weak looming threat of the Orange Guilds, the guild that kills other players, targeting a damsel in distress, Silica, is effectively disarmed. The gritty overtones that the story builds up from the start of the series, the threat of the situation, basically mirroring the death game format, has suddenly shifted and shitted itself out as a power fantasy with an OP character who is written in such a way that he is designated as basically the sultan of the story, with Asuna being the lead of the harem. Not to mention, in the latter part of the series, they launch into a holiday arc where the two mains bought a house and inserted a slice of life segment into the series. The tension building up to that point didn't even make me realize that there were any tension in the first place. But this is not what all isekais could do. Previously, from the backbones, the foundations, we added other elements into the story in attempts to make the story stand out. And as a result of the saturation of the formula, the glamour of escaping into the other world is almost all gone, vanished. It becomes derivative. So at the same time as other authors attempt to diversify the genre, by addition, there are also other authors who, instead of adding, they choose to intensify instead. As with the previous example, where the story is fused and weaved in its element of blacksmithing occupation in order to be different. Intensifying the isekai aspect, going further in a certain direction, also produce a similar effect. For example, The Eminence in Shadow is a show that took power fantasy, Shunibyo themes, and pushed it to its limits. From a quick glance, it seemed as if the story would follow the same old formula that offers conflict without any real tension or challenge to the character at all. And that is precisely what it is. But the main goal of the show is not to create another story like that in earnest, but to parody it, and to let the absurdity within those themes shine through. There's a lot of innovativeness that I've found within the genre that personally kept me from turning away from it altogether. Even though there's a lot of shows that I have to sift through, still, even if I have to sift through, the joy that I get from finally finding one that works, one that keeps the genre interesting, makes the whole search worth it. It is this element in the genre, this push for growth, or mutation even, to me is the allure of it all. And I could probably continue to read and consume isekai on and off until there's nothing left. Isekai is not death. Isekai is love. Isekai is life.